Alright, hey guys, it's Chase here, and today I'm with my teammate Latios, and today we're gonna just go over every single map that's been in this Splatoon series, and we're gonna kind of talk about our opinions on them, and then we're also gonna say if we think it should return to Splat 3 or not. This is gonna be really casual, laid back, but I'll put some footage on the screen of each map as we're talking about it. But anyways, let's get into it. So, Latios, we're going to start out with the Splat 1 maps, okay? And then we're just going to go in order. We're going to go in order from when they came out. So, first up, we have Saltspray Rig. So, Latios, what's your opinion on Saltspray Rig?
It's a really bad map in my
You think it's
opinion.
bad? Okay, it's kind of weird because I actually like this map, but I see why it's like pretty bad on like the ranked modes.
So the thing about this map is it actually got banned from solo queue in Splat 1 because of how bad it was. It's like the skipper pavilion of Splat 1, meaning it's not symmetrical. It's like there's a difference between right and left. There's a right peak advantage on that map because it's not symmetrical like everything else. And
hmm
it's kind of the same problem that you have with skipper in Splat 2. And again, the fact that Nintendo will play maps like Moray and Kelp in solo queue, but ban stuff like Saltspray, that in itself just I really don't enjoy playing on that map.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, in terms of this map actually like coming to Splat 3, I think it's very unlikely because I mean, I feel like they want to keep that map like specific to Splatoon 1. Like that's like the signature Splatoon 1 map, I feel like.
So one thing that I actually saw on Twitter that might be cool is I saw some people suggesting maybe they could bring it back as a salmon run map, which I could
Oh.
see. They could since the whole idea is that it's chaos, they could, make it all run down and put it like 4 or 5 years in the future or something. I
Yeah,
think that would be a cool way to bring the map back.
that'd be interesting.
I'd be in favor of that. I personally don't think it's going to be coming back in Splat 3
Yeah,
just because,
not as like a competitive map.
no, yeah, but again, I wouldn't leave out the possibility that they can bring back some stuff in Salmon Run, assuming that Salmon Run does come back, which I think it will because they confirmed Salmonids are ready. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's the only capacity that I could see that map coming back.
Yeah, like in its current state as like an actual like map that you play the modes on, yeah, I say it's a 95% chance it doesn't come back.
Yeah, I would
And if
agree.
it does come back, it's gonna be like much different because I think the devs know like people don't like that map. But
Yeah.
anyways, all right, moving on. Next up we have Walleye Warehouse. So I'll go first for my opinion on this one. This map kind of sucks. I don't know how it got brought over from Splatoon 1 in the first place to Splatoon 2, but I'm actually going to say that about a lot of maps because there's quite a few maps that got brought over
Yep.
that aren't particularly good. But Walleye is better than some of those maps. But yeah, so I think that it's not as bad as Salt Spray. I think the
No.
like certain modes like zones and like I don't know Rainmaker I guess aren't horrible on it, but just the fact that it was already in Splatoon 2 makes me think that it won't be in Splatoon 3 because I have a feeling that they're not going to do any triple repeats. I don't know how you feel, but that's what I think. Anyways, go ahead.
Um, I mean, I wouldn't rule that out, but my thing with Walleye is it's just way too easy to spawn camp. That's really my only issue with that map.
True.
Like the ray spam, that's kind of a problem in this game, but that's not really going to affect how they view it in Splat 3. I don't think. I'm assuming the new special that's going to replace ray is going to be weakened heavily, so I don't think that's really a big concern. My thing is just it's way too easy to spawn camp on that map. And when you talk about a mode like Rainmaker, like you said, it's just you can kind of just get in their spawn and there's how much they can do about it. So I
That's
would
true.
say it's the easiest map in Splatoon 2 to spawn camp,
Yeah,
in my
that's
opinion.
definitely true. That's true. I agree with that.
And it's the thing that sucks is I actually kind of like the mid layout, like as far as actually taking a team fight in mid and just playing around mid in a neutral state.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty enjoyable to play. I just think that the spawn camping is kind of a deal breaker.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said this map sucks, but it's not completely horrible, but yeah, there's just spawn camping factors that do go with it that just make it kind of unenjoyable. But
There's
yeah,
a reason everyone complains about it. Even if it's enjoyable at times to play, it's
yeah,
pretty much it's only enjoyable if you're winning.
yeah, definitely. All right, moving on. The next map from Spot One is Blackbelly Skatepark. All right. Hard clear on this one coming back. I don't think it's happening because I think Walleye is more likely to come back than this map because I mean, it's okay on spot zones. It is played, but I feel like the complaints have been heard with this one. Like, what do you think of Blackbelly?
I think I would say you're probably right about that. I mean, I wouldn't completely rule it out just because they've turned Rainmaker and Zones into viable modes, but at the same time, you still talk about two of the worst map modes in the entire game in Blackbelly TC and Blackbelly Clams.
Yeah.
And in order to make those modes viable, I mean, they're going to have to completely redesign the shape of the map. They're probably just going to have to take down top mid and make it the same like it is in Rainmaker for all modes.
Yeah, they need to get rid of that tower thing in the middle. That's the thing that
Yeah,
really makes that map suck.
I just, if they're going to bring back maps, I don't think they're going to bring back a map and then just drastically redesign it like that.
Yeah, they might
So,
as well just make a whole new map, right?
I mean, in my opinion, I actually enjoy playing Rainmaker on that map. It favors certain weapons a lot, but I think it's a really balanced map. And Zones is, it's very dependent on who can control top mid, and it's very easy to stall the zone. But as far as the actual layout of the map itself, I don't dislike it, but I just think the fact that there's two horrible modes on it, that it's just, I don't think Nintendo's gonna go through all the work to make it a playable map.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, and yeah, like as Latios just said, there's really only two viable modes on that map, and then even those modes on it, like Rainmaker is variable, but even Splat Zones, which is played in tournaments, it's still not really that fun to play. It's very Tri-Slosher is too broken on that map.
Oh yeah, X-Slosher, Tri-Slosher, pretty much any Slosher is just dumb on that map. It's just way too dependent on who gets top mid. Once you get top mid, you can kind of just sit up there, and the only way you can really force them off is you just gotta spam bombs at them or just spam specials at top mid, and I just don't think that's a balance.
Yeah. All
Especially
right.
considering how easy it is to kill someone who's climbing up that wall. You can just pre-fire it. So
Hmm.
again, unless they drastically redesign the map, I don't think it's coming back, and I don't really see them doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. All right, next up, yet another map that is also has been in both Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2, Arowana Mall. We're getting the bad ones out of the way first. Latios, go ahead and give your opinion on Arowana Mall
So
first.
yeah, I really don't like this map,
Yeah.
especially because it's such a backline oriented map. It's just not fun for me personally to play.
Yeah.
But even just speaking objectively, it's very ray spammy. It's There's too much elevation on the sides. It's just way too hard to push through court because you got high ground on both sides of you got to deal with, and it's just
Mhm.
really difficult. And I just don't enjoy playing on the map. I mean, it's bearable, I guess, on zones, but pretty much every other mode, I just really dislike playing it just because of the
It,
way the map is laid out and how you have to play defense.
Yeah, I mean the thing that I hate the most about it, honestly, I don't even care about like how range heavy it is or that snipers are good, but like just the stupid humps in the middle. Like you have to go over that little hill to get to the middle of the
Yeah.
map. It's so annoying. I mean, obviously I'm biased because dualies are just really bad on that map and they can't really go anywhere. But I've played other weapons, like I even those on Arowana are not fun. It's just like the middle thing is so awkward, and then you end up, and then there's so many times where you end up like you see someone and you're trying to fight someone there, then you end up shooting the little hump instead of the person you're trying to hit, and it just creates no fun.
I mean, like the thing is, backline players will, of course, they're going to say, well, it's such a good map, and then they complain whenever, like you or I or any frontline players say, like, oh, we don't like the map. They always blame it on the fact that oh, we don't like backline oriented maps, blah, blah, blah. But I
Yeah.
just objectively, I don't think it's a good map. And it's not even just the range heavy aspect of it. It's not bad because it's range heavy. It's range heavy because it's bad. Because the
Yes.
design of the map makes it so that the high ground on either side is just way too powerful of a position, and it's really hard to get people off those positions.
Hmm. Oh, and that thing you said about like the backline players like saying it's a good map, like I think there's a difference between people who do say that who use backlines, and then there's also backline players who they know they do enjoy the map, but they can also acknowledge that at heart it's still a bad map, even if their weapon is good on
Yep.
it. And
Especially the
I've
Ray.
seen both of those.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's especially Ray players because it's just like Wally in terms of how broken Ray is. So,
Yeah.
you can kind of just it's not just the range heavy aspect of it. Again, it's bad because of the design, and the design makes it range heavy.
Yes. All right, moving on to finally a map that is only in Splatoon 1, not Splatoon 2. Urchin Underpass. Well, do you think Urchin Underpass has a chance of coming to Splatoon 3? Because I actually do. And the reason for that is because I don't know if you remember, but Urchin Underpass is actually a map in
Mario Kart.
yeah, I know. This is gonna be a weird comparison because I know Mario Kart has nothing to do with Splatoon, but just the fact that they decided to bring that map to Mario Kart as like Splatoon how do I say this, representative map, I think that Urchin Underpass is kind of iconic, and there's another map coming up that's also iconic because it also has a stage in another game, which we'll get to. But Urchin Underpass. I actually think it does have a decent chance of coming back just because of like the representation that it's gotten. But again, I'm not saying I'm like super sure it's coming back. Like that's just a prediction I have. We're not super sure about any of these maps coming back. These are all just hard guesses. But yeah, I think Urchin Underpass actually does have a decent chance of coming back. But anyways, go ahead and give your opinion on it.
Oh, I mean, I agree with that. I think it's the fact that they included it in Mario Kart kind of cements its place as the poster child map for Splat 1.
Yeah.
And just I think it was, and I don't have a whole lot of recollection of playing it. I was not super comp in Splat 1, but from my experience playing it, I did enjoy playing on it for the most part. I think it was fairly well regarded. So I think when you combine those two things, it's fairly likely to come back, especially among these Splat 1 maps. I think when you compare it to some of these other maps that are just notorious for being
trash.
Really, yeah, that's sure.
That's one way to put it, right?
I think this one holds up really well when it comes to gameplay compared to stuff like, Moray, Kelp, Arowana.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know you just said you weren't big on Cop and Splat 1, but do you remember, did you play both versions of Urchin Underpass? Because there was like the early version of it, and then it got like reworked.
No, I only played the reworked version of it because
Okay.
I started playing that game December of 2015, and the remake was August. I think it was like sometime in the summer. I didn't start playing that game until December of 2015, so I only got to play the revamped version of it. I don't even know what the original looked like, if I'm being honest.
The original is pretty bad. Like I don't remember it too well. What's weird though is the Mario Kart map it's actually, I'm pretty sure it's more modeled after the original one, not
I
the
think so
reworked
too.
one.
There's parts in the Mario Kart version that I don't
Don't
recognize at
remember.
all.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think the reworked version, I think it does have a chance of coming back to Splatoon 3. Just because of, as we said, the representation that it had. All right, now back to trash maps. Next we have Port Mackerel. No way this is coming back. Absolutely no way. I'm 100% sure this map is not coming back.
Sorry,
Like,
Drac.
yeah, like, oh no, all the other, for people who don't know, Drac is a backline player that we play with sometimes, and he really likes this map because it's like Stingray spammy, right?
Yep.
Yep. But yeah, so all the other maps we just listed that are in both Splatoon 1, Splatoon 2, there's a tiny chance those could come back, I guess, even though I highly doubt they're gonna go triple on certain maps. But for Port Mackerel, I seriously am 100% sure that it is not coming back. This map is ugly aesthetically, it's ugly gameplay wise. Just bad all around. That's my opinion on Port Mackerel. It is not coming back. Now, go ahead.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. It's not fun to play. It's not pretty
Yeah,
as
it's
far
like
as
at least be
aesthetics.
aesthetically pleasing.
It's a bunch of storage containers. Like, come
I
on, it's
know.
not. And then the gameplay, where do I even begin? You got Stingray spam, you got 10 missiles that can target all four players no matter where you're at on the map.
Hmm.
You got like just infinite places for rollers to just shark, and you got to cover every sharking spot.
Yeah.
It's just not an enjoyable map to play.
Yeah. Yep. Agree with that. So yeah, no Port Mackerel on Splat 3. Absolutely not. All right, moving on. Okay. Next up, we have Kelp Dome, a map that I also am not as certain about this one, but I'm 99% sure that Kelp Dome will not come back. It only has pretty much one viable mode, and even that one viable mode is not played a lot in competitive. And we're talking about spot zones. Cause I mean, has spot zones ever appeared in the tournament even for Kelp Dome? I thought it has.
Well, the way that they set up the map list for this game, at least when I started playing comp, you pretty much had to play on every map. So I've played Walleye in tournament, I've played Moray in tournament.
Mm.
So I've had to play on all those maps in tournament. But as far as the modern map lists and how they're restricting all that stuff, I don't think I've ever had to play that in a tournament.
Okay,
Not
that's good.
like on any mode, let alone zones. And so one thing about zones that I want to say, some people say it's like a workable mode, but I don't think it should be played on any mode because that splat zone is I think it's the hardest zone in the game to
Yeah,
cap.
no, it's I don't remember who it was, and I apologize for that, but I remember someone made like a they made like a little not a chart, but like I guess it is a chart showing like how big each splat zone is like
I think
compared
that might
to
have
each other.
been lean. I don't remember,
Lean or
but
Hitzel. Oh yeah, you're right. I think it was lean. Yeah, and then he said that that Kelp Dome was like 30% bigger than every other zone in the game.
and it's not just the size, it's the it's the elevation too because the
Yeah,
top
you
part
can't
counts as
paint
part of
it.
the zone.
Yeah.
So you not only have to get the bottom part, which by the way is also surrounded by walls, so you have to go around a wall just to paint the zone, which means it's a lot easier for the other team to just hold one part of the zone and stall you out.
Hmm.
It also requires you to get on top and actually paint that part too. So it's just gameplay wise, it's not fun.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. So yeah, zones is in my opinion like a little variable, but every other mode on Kelp Dome is a no go. And even zones is, as Latios just said, very painful.
Never want to
So
touch any of those with a 10-foot
yeah.
pole.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So Kelp Dome, 99% sure not coming back, just mainly because it was already in both games. All right, the next map we have is another very sniper heavy map, which is Bluefin Depot. I haven't thought about this map in a long time.
Yes.
Um, so let's see. When I think of this map, all I remember is getting sniped across the map by e-leaders. That's literally my recollection of this map. However, even with saying that, I actually didn't hate it. I'm not sure how you felt, but I personally did not hate this map.
No, I didn't hate it. I I mean, either was kind of broken because you could just sit above the zone, like the drops on either side, right or left, and you could just snipe people from across that gap. But
Hmm.
I don't know. I didn't hate this map from my experience and my limited experience in Splat 1 solo queue.
Yeah, I mean,
But
yeah.
some of the interactions that were taking place in the zone were actually kind of interesting with the way that the blocks were laid out. So I think it's a fun map when you're taking fights against the other front lines. I just the one thing that I don't like about that map is the way that the zone is set up. I don't know if you remember, but
What it was a two zone map, wasn't it?
no, so the way that the zone worked was it was one zone, but the side that got picked for the zone was random every time.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, so you could end up going to the wrong zone and then everyone else is going to the right zone because it's I don't it's kind of like Skipper in the way that it's like not symmetrical
Oh.
where like one side is it's hard to describe, but basically you could have the zone on the your right or your left and it was completely random. So
Hmm.
it would change up depending on, and I don't know if the peaking advantage is really an issue. I don't have a whole experience with it, but that was the one thing that I hated the most about that map. Especially, teammates, you go to the right zone, your teammates, you got two teammates on the other zone, and you're just kind of left out to dry on the other zone. And it's not fun to play in solo
Yeah.
queue at least.
Hmm.
Maybe in comp, it's a little bit more workable, but that's the one thing about that map I didn't like.
Yeah, yeah, no, I definitely see where that's coming from. I actually didn't remember that it picked a random one. I mean, it's been so long since I played Splatoon 1. There's probably a lot of little things I don't remember like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I thought I could have sworn it was one zone on each side. But now that you said that, I do remember. Yeah, that I do remember that.
Other thing
So
that, oh, sorry.
no,
Go
no,
ahead.
no. You go ahead. You go ahead.
So, well, the other thing I didn't like about that map is the tower path. So, in the middle, it's all water, and the tower is basically just suspended above water. So, it was kind of like Albacore in the way that you could just fall off
Mm.
whenever you got bumped by anything.
Uh huh.
So, and it was just, I mean, you see how those maps are treated in this game. We never play maps like that where the water is a factor. We never play Albacore TC. We don't play Snapper TC very often.
Your
So,
Camp
I just,
Triggerfish.
yeah, Camp Triggerfish. So again, I wouldn't hate to see it come back. It was one of the more enjoyable maps in Splat 1 for me
Yeah,
personally,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I do think they're going to need to rework it if it does come back. I'd say this is kind of a toss-up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if Bluefin does come back, which there's a possibility, all these maps that are in Splatoon 1 that we're going over that were not in Splatoon 2, I think have a decent chance of coming back because I feel like they might just pick them randomly at this point. um, but yeah, if it does come back though, it's not going to be the same zone thing like Latios just described. I feel like that's going to be reworked. I don't know how they're going to rework it. Maybe they will just do one zone on each side. But even then, that would be a little weird.
That
So
would be similar to Camp Triggerfish in the
yeah,
struggles that you'd have on that map, though. I think that
true.
would make it worse.
You think I'll make it worse? Okay.
I think the way that they could solve that would they just need to have some way of some indicator for which side it's going to be on. If they did that, then I think it would be a lot more enjoyable because you can't really change the way that the zone works on that map just based on how it's laid out.
Mm-hmm.
But you can make it easier to tell which side you're going to. So
Yeah.
maybe something like that. I don't know. I'm just speculating at this point, but
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on. This is the map that I was hinting at earlier that has made an appearance in another game that's not Splatoon, which is Moray Towers. Oh boy. Okay, Moray Towers. I have many opinions on, and I will spare you guys of some of those opinions because you guys probably already know and feel the same as we do. But in short, this map is dirt, and I don't think anyone wants to see this come back. Even okay, there's like two Charger players I know that defend this map, but besides them, yeah, I don't think anyone wants to see this map back. However, with saying that though, if they were to triple up on maps and put one map like in all three games, I know people are gonna hate me for this, but I feel like Moray has a decent chance of being that map just because, like Urchin Underpass, it was represented in another game, and it's also been in both Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2. Again, I really don't think they're gonna bring back maps three times, but if they do, I feel like Moray has a shot. As much as I hate to say it.
to be honest, I think this map is coming back.
You
If
did
they're bringing back,
you actually think it's coming back?
I don't know. I just got a feeling
I have a deep dark
it's
feeling.
it's one of the most iconic Slat 1 maps.
It's
And
iconic for all the wrong reasons.
and as much as people hate it, they it just won't die.
Yeah.
They brought it back in Smash. They tried redesigning the map in Splat 2 to make it more workable. It's still garbage, but
Yeah.
I think if you're gonna bring back three maps, this is one of the two or three maps that's gonna be in the rotation.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then we don't really need to say anything more about that, but all you guys need to know is we hate Moray, but we do feel that there is definitely a chance it could come back, as much as we hate to say it. Yeah, unfortunately. But we're just being realistic. We're not going to lie to you guys. All right, next up we have Camp Triggerfish. You go ahead and go first on this one.
So this is one of the most unique maps in either game,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. I mean, like you've said before, they're probably not going to bring too many three-time maps back.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hate to see this come back, if I'm being honest.
I wouldn't hate to see it back either.
I know some of the modes are just not very well regarded, but I like the design. I think it's really unique, and it's something you don't really see with any other map. And I wouldn't mind having it come back just for that alone, you know?
Yeah.
You don't really have any other map where you got to manage your positioning in the way that you do on that map, and
Mhm.
it's just, I don't know. I just find it really interesting to play on. That being said, the gameplay is not very good, but I do think there's a chance that this comes back.
So when you played Splatoon 1, I don't know, you probably played after this was a thing, but were you around when there was that exploit where you could jump across the middle of the map to the other side?
Think so. I don't think I ever pulled it off though, or saw anyone pull it off. But
Yeah, no,
I was
it was something you could actually get like pretty consistent at because I remember I actually did, and then they patched it and I was sad. But I feel like, well, okay, in Splatoon 2, there's a couple modes where like there actually is just a little bridge in the middle where you could cross. But I feel like they would never do this because it's not it doesn't look good as a game design from a game design perspective. But if they just kept that exploit in there, so like skilled players could jump across, that would actually make the map like a lot better, in my opinion.
I mean, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, I don't mind the way that it's set up though, because it's just a lot. There's just a lot of things you got to consider strategy wise that you don't have to consider with other maps.
mhm.
And I know some people may not like that, but considering how many other maps are just like, you go to the same spot every time and you can kind of just go wherever you want. I think it's interesting to play a map where you got to be really careful with where you're positioned and making sure your teammates are, split up properly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just find it really interesting strategy wise, even if objectively it's not a fun map to play. So,
Yeah, no, yeah, I completely agree. It does require a lot of. It's similar to Skipper Pavilion, as in like you gotta. Even though I think
yeah,
it's more strategic than Skipper, because you
yeah, I
have
would
to go
agree
like
with that.
complete. You have to go complete opposite ways
Yeah.
with your team. But yeah, so for Camp Triggerfish, both of us would not mind seeing that come back, but we wouldn't necessarily be sad if it doesn't come back either, because this is another
No.
map that's been in both games. So again, it's unlikely.
Yeah.
But moving on to a map that might be definitely more likely, we have Flounder Heights. Now, personally, I am confident that this map will return because this is a map that is like very missed from Splat One.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, like I just constantly see people tweeting like, "Oh, we want Flounder Heights back." So yeah,
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, again, I'm not expecting Nogami to actually like listen to Twitter, but I think that there I don't know, maybe the Japanese scene. I don't know how the Japanese scene feels about Flounder Heights, but maybe if they're asking for it, maybe there's a chance Nogami puts it in. But as far as the actual map goes, this is a pretty fun map. I mean, it is very vertical. But I think
Yep.
I mean, yeah, and that could lead to some issues. And I remember being annoyed at certain things on that map. But overall, though, I think that provides some interesting strategy to the map, like where you position yourself and stuff. And then, yeah, I don't remember. I think I remember hating tower control the most on that mode. But again, this was a long time ago, so I don't exactly remember. But I remember zones not being horrible, and then Rainmaker not being bad. And yeah, those are the only modes in Splatoon 1. I can't. Clan Blitz would probably suck on that map, but I didn't have to deal with
But
that.
yeah.
But yeah, so as for my opinion, I would love to see Flounder Heights back, and I think it will come back, to be honest. But let's hear from Latios now.
So my thing with this map is it's kind of similar to Moray with the verticality, but the difference is the verticality is in the middle and not on the sides.
Hmm.
So it's about controlling the middle and not trying to push up into high ground. So I
Yes.
think despite the verticality, I think it's a lot more enjoyable to play and just a much better map overall. And I don't know if they're gonna bring it back. I know it's gotten a lot of attention, but I would definitely like to see this map coming back, and hopefully Noagami listens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. There's a few maps on here that I think are definitely just more like aesthetically pleasing than others, and this is one of them. Flounder Heights is very aesthetically pleasing. It's like I think you're just like it's not a hotel, but it's like you're in like a little like what village? I don't even know how you describe it. Like a place where people live. It's like an apartment building, and
Yeah, it kind of
then
reminds me of the backdrop of the Reef with all those buildings in the background.
oh
This you're kind
yeah,
of like in
yeah.
this little nook.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, in terms of like aesthetically, it's one of my favorite maps, I would say. But okay, enough of Flounder Heights. Let's move on to another map which I haven't thought about in a long time. Hammerhead Bridge. So I have a few thoughts about this map. Again, I don't remember it too clearly, but I definitely remember a couple things. And the main thing I remember is run speed is very good on this map. And the other thing I remember is that splat zones is horrible here. But even despite that, I actually really like this map aesthetically also, and I'm a big fan of maps where run speed is good because I like maps where you're forced to walk and not swim. I know that's kind of a weird thing to like, but I just think it provides more like variety to like map strategy and stuff. So that's why I like it. How do you feel about Hammerhead Latios?
I have a few different thoughts about this one.
Go
So,
ahead.
first of all, shout outs to the days where run speed was good on T-Tech and you could just Sonic speed around the grates on
Oh
the
yeah,
top.
yeah, I love those days.
Rainmaker was literally just stack run speed and run across the grates.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But in all seriousness, I think like for those of you who haven't played on this map, gameplay wise, it's kind of I guess the best way I could describe it is it's kind of like Shellendorf
Hmm.
in the way that it's got like the top and the bottom, and the top is all uninkable, and you're really reliant on run speed. So stuff like splatlings that rely a lot on run speed and get good scaling out of it are going to benefit a lot.
Hmm.
But the one thing that I want to point out about this map is if you look at the design of the map, the purpose of the map is it's kind of supposed to be like a construction site for a bridge. And I think that's if you look at the text from Splat 1, they describe it as just a construction site. So if they bring this map back, I'm thinking they're going to bring it back in a finished version. They're going to bring it back with the bridge completed. So
Oh,
I don't know how good the chances are that they bring this back, but I do think that if they bring this back, you're going to see a completed bridge version of this map.
dude, that'd be dope. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, good observation there. But yeah, very run speed heavy map. Again, I like that. I just, dude, imagine like ballpoint splatling on Hammerhead Bridge.
God.
That like ballpoint in its prime when like before it got nerfed. That would have made this map not fun.
And
Even though
it's
I
still
did have fun.
three shot with like one main, two subs
NPU.
NPU.
Yeah, that was so stupid. All right, but moving on. Next up, we have, I think, another highly regarded map from Splatoon 1, which is Museum D'Alfonsino or Dolphincino. I don't even know how you pronounce it. I think it's Dolphincino.
Yeah, that's
But
how you got it.
okay, but so this map is very unique because, as far as I know, it's really the only map that has like spinning. It's like continuously spinning apparatus. Am I wrong about that? I'm pretty sure it's the only map that has that.
As far as I know, yeah, unless you count Wahoo World, it's like the
Yeah, the
carousel,
carousel.
but
Yeah, that's true. But this is way more like noticeable, I guess, because there's like
yeah.
different levels of the thing that are rotating. And then like on paper when you look at that, you think it wouldn't be very good, but I remember actually quite liking this map, and then I think a lot of other people feel that way too. How do you feel about it?
I enjoyed playing on it. I think it's a very backline heavy map, but that
Hmm.
doesn't necessarily mean it's not fun to play. Splat Zones was a little weird just because the pillar in the middle, most people would just sit on top of that and just spray around the zone to keep it painted.
Mm.
But
Oh yeah, that's right.
but I didn't dislike playing on this map. It's got a very unique design. The route for pushing up on Rainmaker and TC was pretty interesting, I thought, and yeah, I mean, I didn't mind playing on it. I definitely think this is one of the maps from Splat 1 that's most likely to come back. I
Yeah,
think
yeah. I
they've
was
gotten a
just
lot
gonna
of
say that.
support.
Yeah, like I was just gonna say, like this map as well as Flounder Heights are the two maps from Splatoon 1 that I think are the most likely to return. Again, there's not really any like the only reason I'm saying that is just because of like how much praise these maps get and how much people want them back. But again, for the devs, it's completely random on what maps they're actually gonna bring back. But
Yeah.
we do know they are bringing back maps because that was confirmed. So it's yeah, I think these two maps, as in Museum Dolphincino and Flounder Heights, those are probably the two best ones that could come back.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Yet another highly regarded map, although not one of, well, I was gonna say not one of my favorites, but now I think about it, this map was pretty fun. But I'm talking about Mahi Resort. Latios, go ahead and give your thoughts on this one.
I I really hope this comes back. This is one of the most fun maps in Splat 1
Hmm.
in my experience.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
it's just the
the,
design is so unique.
mhm.
The routes to push felt pretty natural, even though the water mechanic was a little bit weird at times. It really didn't feel weird to play. Like when you're playing TC or Rainmaker and trying to push up, it really didn't feel awkward at all.
Wait, what was the water mechanic for people who might not know?
So basically, um, at certain points during the match, the water level would rise or fall, which would either close off or enable new parts of the map to be walked on. And I think most of the parts of the map that came up from under the water, you could paint. So it was kind of like, it wasn't like uninkable. It was actual like paintable surfaces that you could fight on,
Hmm.
which now, you could make the argument that that's not ideal just based on, how people feel about Wahoo World in this game. They don't like
Hmm.
the timer. They don't like the fact that the map can decide where you're allowed to go
Yeah.
randomly. But I don't know. I wouldn't mind having this map come back. It's really fun to play, and if nothing else, it's got a really cool layout. And I've heard other people suggest that because the theme of the game is going to be in a desert, they could turn it into a sort of like a desert oasis resort thing,
Yeah,
something
that'd
like
be
that.
interesting. Yeah.
So again, I don't, I think there's some definite reasons to dislike the design of the map, but I really enjoy playing on it, and I would love to see it back.
Yeah, I mean, I agree completely. I think it was a very fun map. Although the memories I have of it is falling off a lot, just because I'm someone who falls off maps a lot in general in
Well, you do
Splatoon.
that anyway.
Yeah, I do. I constantly fall off map to map, but especially on Mahi. And that was back when dualies didn't even exist. I just fell off because I was bad, not because I rolled off. But yeah, well, again, Latios. This is another like kind of backline heavy map, right? I feel like it would be.
I think it is to some extent, but
But
it
again,
wasn't.
it's not something that like makes it less fun to play. It's kind of like
Yeah,
Hammerhead Bridge.
I don't think it was too bad as far as backline heavy. I mean,
Okay.
if anything, I think it was more just range heavy in general. Like I remember 96 Scout was really good on this map.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's necessarily just backline dependent, but or not dependent, but just backline heavy. But I
Well,
think range,
96 was just good in general in Splat One.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
There's not a whole lot of cover. Some of the main areas that you would take fights, there wasn't a whole lot of cover to work with. So I do think it's
Oh.
range weapons do have an advantage to some extent, especially some of the areas that would be submerged underwater. It would just be just a flat surface,
Hmm.
not much cover, not really any protection from chargers or range stuff. So I do think it's a little bit backline focus, but I didn't dislike playing on it.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
I enjoyed it too.
like I said with Arowana, it's just because it's backline focus doesn't mean it's a bad map. It's like there are backline focused maps that can be fun to play on, like Albacore, which we'll talk about later, but it's a backline focused map and I shouldn't enjoy it, but I still do it.
Yes,
So
indeed.
just because a map is backline focused doesn't mean it's, not fun to play on, at least in my
Yes.
opinion. I know other front lines feel differently, but that's just how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, if you just know how to play around backlines, like it's really not that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Only two more maps from the Splatoon 1 game, and then we'll move on to the Splatoon 2 maps. But the first one is Piranha Pit. Again, as I said countless times already, doubt this will come back. I don't think if they're gonna do a triple, like if they're gonna go triple on any map, I doubt it's Piranha Pit. I think there's other much more viable maps like Moray or Moray. That's the one I'm gonna
Man,
say.
man, don't
Yeah.
use the word viable and more in the same sentence.
Okay, I'm sorry. Plausible to come back. How about that? Okay. But yeah, so Piranha Pit, in terms of how I feel about this map, it's okay. Like in Splatoon 2, I enjoy playing it on splat zones, and it's okay on Rainmaker and Tower Control. Actually, every mode on it is fine now I think about it. I don't really like Clam Blitz on it, but like it's fine. The conveyor belt mechanic is interesting, but I feel like it doesn't. I feel like the conveyor belt mechanic in Piranha Pit is just more annoying than actually like providing
Uh,
gameplay. Like it's just there to be annoying. That's how I feel about it.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if Piranha Pit did come back, I don't think it's going to, but if it did come back, I wouldn't mind, I guess. But this is one of the another map that I don't think is very aesthetically pleasing. It looks kind of ugly and dead.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't know. Maybe that fits the style they're going for in Splatoon 3. But either way, I wouldn't care to see this come back. How about you?
I mean, this is actually one of my favorite maps in Splatoon 2. I don't have a
Hmm.
whole lot of experience with the Sly 1 version, but just speaking on Splatoon 2, like I usually have a good time playing on this map. I really enjoy it. I know it's not aesthetically pleasing, but just gameplay wise, I think it flows really well. Like you said before, the only thing that I really don't like about it is the conveyors, especially the one in spawn. It makes retakes kind of difficult sometimes
Hmm.
when you get dragged towards the enemy. It makes it difficult to space yourself out sometimes.
Yeah.
So if it were me, I would try to rework that a little bit to make it a little bit less punishing, especially on the side conveyors too. You can get pushed into bombs. So other than that, though, I really like the layout of the map. It's positioning wise, there's a lot of options. You can pretty much use whatever weapon you want. I think most roles you can make work here. It's just, I don't know, it's really enjoyable to play. And Again, I don't think it's coming back, but I'd really like to see it back because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
one
I
of the
wouldn't
most fun
mind.
maps to play.
Yeah. See, the one thing that I do like about Piranha Pit is just how big it is, because it's a very unique map in that it has that whole like area on both sides that are referred to as useless in comp because they are useless. But even with them being useless, I do like that it's there just because it gives you something else to do. Like you could the support player could go down there and just farm for their special or something like that, which is
Um,
not necessarily be a good thing, but I think that's cool. It just brings more variety.
well, I mean, I don't think special spam in itself is a bad thing. I just think that it's overboard in Splatoon 2, but I do like that they have that because, the backline can go down there and Ray, you can paint for a special down there, and it's
Yeah.
still a kind of like a risk reward trade-off because you're putting yourself really far from the action, so it's giving you a really solid way to build up your special and
Safely, yeah.
push. Yeah, it's a different strategy that you can use without making it overly like focused on getting your special because you're still sacrificing your position. So I don't know. I think it's a really unique aspect. It's kind of similar to Skipper's Useless too, where you can kind of forgo some of that pressure at the beginning if you
Yeah,
want to get your special early. So I think it's a cool mechanic.
I agree. And okay, let's go to the final map for Splatoon 1, which is Ancho-V Games. This is a good map. Again, it's another map where no mode is really bad on it. It's similar to Piranha Pit, like they're all playable.
Yeah.
In terms of Anchovy itself, the fan mechanic can be annoying, but it's way better than the conveyor belt mechanic on Piranha Pit. I'll say that. Um, yeah. So if this map came back, I feel like this is one that is more likely to be repeated 3 times. I still think Moray is more likely, but I feel like Anchovy could make a third appearance in this game.
I mean, I really like this map too. Like you said, pretty much every mode is viable. Clam Blitz you can give or take a little bit, but
Yeah.
I enjoy playing on all four modes here, and I think it's pretty aesthetically pleasing too, personally. As far as the fan
Yeah.
mechanic goes, it's yeah, it's annoying at times, but I think that mostly just comes down to teammate coordination, making sure you're painting it at the right time and stuff.
Yeah.
So I actually think it's a really cool mechanic, especially with the way that the map's laid out. It's a way that you can kind of combat backlines by painting it up so they can't hit you, while also giving the backlines a chance to hit you if you're not in position yet, if you know what I mean. Like
Mm-hmm.
it changes the way that you fight other backlines, and I don't mind it. It's unique and it doesn't break the game.
Yeah. One thing I will say that I actually like about Anchovy games, which I don't think other people like, but this is something that I actually want to see in more maps in Splatoon 3. You know how you could die to the propeller ink? Yeah. I can see why someone would think that's annoying and dumb. However, I want to see more things in maps in Splatoon 3 that can kill you besides other human players. Like I want to see like moving parts of the like a good example would be like you know how important Mackerel and Turf War, the tractor not the tractors, the forklifts,
Plus,
you know how they
yeah,
move back and forth? I want
yeah,
it to
they can
be
crush you.
possible. Yeah, I want it to be possible they could crush you. That would be hilarious and actually like provide strategy. But I know that probably wouldn't happen because that just brings more goofiness into it. I mean, I like goofiness, and Splatoon should be somewhat of a goofy game in my opinion. Just, I mean, look
Yeah,
at the art style. It's like a Nickelodeon type shooter. So yeah, I think it should be a little
basically.
goofy.
I mean, as
Um,
it stands right now, the propeller ink is basically, oh, haha, you got propeller inked. Haha, you're getting clipped and put on Twitter. Oh,
yeah, yeah,
your career ended.
yeah. All right,
You know,
but yeah. So again, if Anchovy comes back, I really wouldn't mind. But yeah, so that's it for the Splatoon 1 maps. Now we're moving into the Splatoon 2 exclusive maps. Obviously, there's going to be a little less of these because we got through all of the maps that are in both games because they were in Splatoon 1 already. So these are only the Splatoon 2 exclusive maps. So first up, we have Inkblot Art Academy. I think this is very likely to come back. This is one of the best maps in Splatoon 2. It's good on every wait. Yeah, it is good. It is good on every mode. Like there's no bad map, no bad mode for it. And yeah, overall, it's visually pleasing. Yeah, I think it has a good chance of coming back.
it's one of my favorite maps in the game as well, and I think it's one of the first maps that came out, so it's one of those maps where you kind of associate it with this game, you know? So it's I think
Yeah.
that also makes it a little more likely to come back. But yeah, I'd really like to see this come back. I enjoy playing on all four modes, and I think it's got a good chance.
So one thing we do have to keep in mind is going back to remember how I said for Saltspray Rig that I think they won't bring that back just because they want to keep that as like the poster
Yeah.
map for Splatoon 1. I'm trying to think like if they I don't know if there necessarily is one, but if there was like a poster map for Splatoon 2, would it be Inkblot or would it be Starfish? I feel like it's more so Ink. No, I think it would be Starfish.
Yeah, I think it'd be more Starfish personally, but it's because I think that's the map that they showcased a lot of the like the trailer and stuff like that.
Yeah. Plus, actually, the box art for the game, like the background is
It's on
Starfish.
Starfish,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, that I forgot about that. I just remembered it. So yeah, we'll get to Starfish when we get there. But next up we have Musselforge Fitness. This is another map that I think could possibly make a return. However, I feel like yeah, it's really hard to say. I don't think they're gonna bring back. Well, you know what? We'll get there because we haven't even gone over all of them. But just talking about Muscle Forge as a map by itself, I don't really like it that much. The whole middle thing with the slopes is annoying. I just think slopes are annoying in general. But aesthetically, it's one of the coolest maps because there's like a whole rock climbing wall in the background. I rock climb in real life, so I that has a special place in my heart. But yeah, I just wish the actual like map gameplay wise was better. But yeah, the only really bad thing about the map, in my opinion, is the whole middle area with the slopes. But other than that, it's a fine map, I guess. How about you?
It's okay. I mean, I don't think it's gonna come back just because it's not there's nothing really special about it.
That's true.
It's just
Yeah.
kind of your basic map. It's decent on all four modes. Gameplay wise, it's okay. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's just kind of there, you know. I just don't think there's anything spectacular about this map that would make them want to bring it back. But I could be wrong. I wouldn't hate it if they brought it back, but I don't think that there's a great chance.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, I think Inkblot is definitely more likely to come back than Muscle Forge, but it could just be me.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Humpback Pump Track. Um, I don't. I feel like this. Well, again, all of these could come back because these have only been in one game. So, but I feel like Humpback is more likely to come back than Muscle Forge also. Because Humpback is a little more unique. I feel like
Yeah.
gameplay wise, it's fine. Tower control sucks on it. The other three modes are fine. Zones is very special, spammy. Just throw booyah
Boy.
bomb at the zone.
Arrow PG.
Yeah. Oh, also, sloshers are kind of dumb on this map. So
Yeah.
I don't. I guess I don't know how they would really fix that because we know. Well, we know at
Well,
least Machine is coming back in Splatoon 3. So I'm assuming the other sloshers are there too.
well, one thing I want to say about that is I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing for certain maps to be very heavily focused on one
Yeah. Yeah.
playstyle, as long as it's not to the extreme. And I think on this map, it's not to the point where you have to play that weapon or else you just straight up lose. Like they have a big advantage, but I mean, there have been times where we run comps with no slosher and we do just fine.
Yeah.
Like we'll run like double slayer, and I don't think it's unbalanced. I think it's good to have maps like that where certain weapons specialties are effective. And as far as whether or not it's going to come back, it's kind of a toss up. I don't think you can really say either way. It's
Yeah.
not super iconic map in my opinion, but I do think it's got a better chance than stuff like Muscle Forge. So I wouldn't hate to see it back.
Yeah. Same. All right, and next up we have the poster map, Starfish Mainstage. So, again, we can't really say because we know next to nothing about what like how the maps coming back are going to work and what qualifies as coming back. But if we're going off the same logic that we used for Saltspray Rig in Splatoon 1, um, and they had to pick a map that they want to keep exclusive to Splatoon 2, I feel like this would be the map just because it's literally on the box art. So when you think of Splatoon 2, you're going to think of Starfish Mainstage. So for that reason, I feel like it's less likely to come back than the other ones. But gameplay wise, this is a fine map. It used to be really bad, then they reworked it. Like Starfish is definitely the Urchin Underpass of Splatoon 2.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, they just look similar to be honest. Like they both have like white walls and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no. If Starfish did come back though, I wouldn't hate it. Like it's a fine map. How about you?
Yeah, I enjoy playing on it. The one thing that I want to point out is isn't this map supposed to be like the performing stage for
Yeah,
Pearl and
Pearl.
Marina?
Yeah, it's like a
So
concert.
that kind of makes me think they're not going to bring it back if that's their signature stage and they're not going to be
Mm-hmm.
the main characters in the next game.
Good point. Good point.
I don't know, maybe I'm reading too deep into it, but if we're just going by the poster maps, then I don't think there's a great chance this comes back. I enjoy playing on it and I'd like to see it back, but I don't
Or
think there's a great chance.
what they could do is to fit the whole chaos thing. Well, if it does come back, but it's like all destroyed because Pearl and Marina are dead. No, just kidding. They're not dead.
Oh,
But
now we're getting deep. Okay.
okay, they're not dead. But I think it
Kids
would be
game.
cool. It
Kids
would be
game.
it would be cool if like it did come back and it was like all like destroyed and ruined and stuff.
Yeah, I wonder how many maps they're going to do that for. I hope there's some maps where I'd like to see them in their original form, but it'll be interesting to see how they spin it.
Yeah, definitely. Again, we know next to nothing, so it's really hard to actually like give any like logical predictions. We're kind of just guessing here. But moving on now, we have Sturgeon Shipyard. I do not think this is coming back. I just have a feeling. Again, there's no real reason why I'm saying that. I have a feeling. I think this map is less iconic than the other four that we just went over for Splatoon 2. And this map is, I don't know, it's similar to Port Mackerel in that it's kind of ugly. It's better looking than Port Mackerel, but there's nothing really special about its visual appeal. Gameplay wise, I don't know. I guess it's fine. I don't have a problem with it, but I don't particularly like any mode on it either. So yeah, I feel like we're getting redundant here by saying this, but it's the truth. I wouldn't mind if it came back, but again, I also wouldn't mind if it didn't come back.
Yeah, this is one of those maps where it's not spectacular to play. Like it's kind of just there, no one's going to complain having to
Hmm.
play on it, but no one's really going to be like, "Oh, I love Sturgeon." It's just kind of there. It's kind of like Musselforge. So I don't think there's a great chance this comes back.
Yeah, it's kind of just it's like it's a map that's just there. But is Sturgeon really anyone's favorite map? I doubt it.
Doubt
Like
it.
no
Yeah.
one be, oh yeah, Sturgeon's my favorite map.
Never heard
Okay,
anyone say that.
yeah, I've never heard anyone say that. So let's move on to a map that I feel like it will be some people's favorite map, the Reef. The Reef is another map that is very like iconic in Splatoon 2, similar to Starfish. I think like when you think of Splatoon 2, you think of Starfish and you think of the Reef. That's what I feel like because the Reef is another one that was advertised a lot. Oh wait, the Reef is also very similar to Urchin Underpass. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
these are very yeah. So I'm curious as to I'm sure one of these will come back, like either Starfish, Urchin Underpass, or the Reef. It's just a matter of which one. I only think one of them will come back. They will not bring two or more. So I think the Reef has a decent chance of being that one that comes back. Once they reworked the Reef, it's a very good map. Like every mode on it is pretty fun in my opinion. Yes, I know like Rainmaker is very rarely played on it, but even then it's viable. Like it's fine. Um, yeah, and then visually, this is a very good map. Like I genuinely enjoy playing this map. How about you?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Again, like I said before, the visuals are kind of similar to Flounder Heights with just all the buildings and everything. It looks pretty nice.
Hmm.
And as far as gameplay goes, it's hit or miss. I don't mind it. Rainmaker is not great, but I'll tolerate it. It's not the worst thing. And the other modes are pretty solid. And
Hmm.
most people consider the other modes to be above average with respect to all the other map modes in the game. So as far as gameplay goes and the fact that it's an iconic map, I do think this is likely to come back and
Yes.
definitely one that I'd like to see come back. The design is really interesting too with the way that you can with the flank routes and the fact that I don't know, I just feel like this map has a lot of different areas to it that lend itself to a lot of different play styles. Like if you're a slosher player, you can kind of just hold top mid and just slosh around and zone people out. If you're like me and you just play splatter shot or something, there's a lot of good flank routes and ways you can catch the enemy off guard. It's just I don't know. I know Charger players will disagree with me, but I think this is a pretty good map if you want a diverse weapon pool.
Yes, I agree. This map just kind of does everything. It has a little bit of everything, but it does all those things right. You know. All right, Ladio. So the next map we have is Manta Maria. What do you think of Manta Maria?
Um, I think it's a pretty middling map. Gameplay wise, it's pretty good on three of the four modes. Zones, TC, and Rainmaker, in my opinion, are pretty good. I know TC and Rainmaker are kind of a toss up, but I personally enjoy playing on them. Aesthetically, I like it a lot too, actually. Just the open water and the harbor in the background. I just think it's really cool aesthetically.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. It's really unique, just like because it's like you can't say that for any other map that like you're playing on a ship. So like I think
yeah,
it's cool in that
exactly.
regard. Yeah. But yeah, as for my opinion, like as for the four modes, spot zones I like, although albeit it's very annoying when you're facing like a charger or just any form of backline, because they're kind of OP what they just stand on mast or whatever.
Yep.
Tower control, I'm fine with it, even though it's a little crammed in some areas. Rainmaker, it's fine, and Clan Blitz is definitely its worst mode, but that doesn't even get played. But so yeah, Clan Blitz is definitely its worst mode. But yeah, aesthetically, I completely agree with Latios. I think that it's one of the cooler maps, just like theme wise. Um, as for it actually coming back in Splat 3, it definitely has a shot because I feel like they're gonna like some of the maps. It's not all gonna be based on like gameplay wise. They're definitely gonna choose to bring back some maps just based on its aesthetic. I think, and this map is definitely like a candidate for being brought back because of its aesthetic. What do you think about it coming back?
Yeah. I mean, I think this game is all about like, you know, sea creatures in general, and I just think the ship goes with that really well.
True, true.
And also, even if they're not basing it off gameplay, this is a map that if they do take that into account, it's pretty well regarded.
Yeah,
And I also think there's a lot of things they could do if they want to change up the theme of the map to fit the new game. I think there's a lot of things they could do with it, like they could make it a shipwreck or change the setting, like change the background. There's a lot of things they could do to make it fit with the new game as well. So I think that's another reason why it's got a decent chance of coming back.
yeah, definitely. I just hope that if it does come back, I kind of want them to like change the bunker area a little bit because personally, I feel like it's a little. I don't want to say like OP because that's the wrong word, but just like it's very annoying when enemies just like sit on the bunker and like you can't really do anything about it because it's very easy for them to just like kind of lock it down, and then it's very easy for them to just like drop on you when you're pushing the objective. So again, I'm not really sure how they could fix that, but I just want them to make it a little more like limited in the ways you could possibly get up to the bunker.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little weird in the design. Like one of the problems I have with it is it's just it's not big enough that you can outspace stuff like a brush or roll or whatever. So if they shark there and you climb up, you're dead no matter where you're at on the bunker.
Hmm.
It's just and then it is kind of awkward trying to climb up it because you got to climb up this big wall and the enemy can easily just pre-fire you when you come up. So it's kind of hard to approach sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think if they made it a little bit easier for ranged weapons to space stuff out or reduce the size of the mast in the middle, because that's another problem is
Yeah,
most
the mass.
backlines,
Yeah.
yeah, because most backlines will go to the bunker. But the thing is, because of how big that thing is, you're not even really going to see backlines fighting each other there because it's just the mass is so friggin' big. So, and that also makes it harder for you to approach any other way except for climbing up the wall, which just takes a while.
Exactly.
And yeah, you can flank around, but the flank is pretty telegraphed and it's not, I don't know. I just don't think it's so it doesn't bother me personally, but I could see why it's frustrating to play against, especially when you're going against a brush or roll or something like that. So
Yeah,
there's
definitely.
definitely some things that they could do to make it a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah, a little more optimized, I think. So yeah, in short, Manta Maria, we like it, and if it does come back, we'd be fine with it. But a like not a rework, but like a little bit of a redesign we wouldn't mind either. Okay, so the next map we have is Snapper Canal. In my opinion, this map is kind of just there. There's not really anything particularly special about it. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like the look of this one personally. It's just a very dull, bland color scheme. Nothing particularly interesting about it.
Yeah,
And
right.
for me, if they're gonna bring back a map like that that's not very aesthetically pleasing, it would have to be very unique or exceptional gameplay wise, but I just don't see it. I mean, there's not really any just defining features of the map, and the gameplay wise, it's not all that fun.
Hmm.
At least I don't think it is. I mean, you got a couple of good modes. I think Clamblitz and Rainmaker are really good on this map, but TC is just, I mean, all water TC maps in general are just not viable for the most part. And then I think this is one of the worst zones maps in the game, personally, just
Oh,
because
really?
of how the zone is shaped. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely the bottom half.
it does have that weird thing in the middle. Like I personally don't really mind it on zones. Tower control, yeah, I agree, it's trash. Rainmaker is fine for the most part, but it has that really dumb strategy you could do where like you could take the Rainmaker like to the far left of the map and just stall it there. Then the other team, it makes it really hard for them to come back from that. And then Clam Blitz, it's pretty good, but again, nothing special. Like there's definitely better Clam Blitz maps out there, but there's also worse Clam Blitz maps. So yeah, I doubt they'll bring this map back. There's not really any. Yeah, again, there's not really anything special about it, and I just don't see them bringing this one back. How about you? You neither. Okay.
It's, yeah.
Yeah, I really doubt they'll bring it back, but they could because they brought back Port Mackerel in Splatoon 2. So who knows at this point?
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. All right. Next, though, we do have a map that I think is very likely to come back, which is Mako Mart. Mako Mart is a pretty amazing map. I mean, I have a few gripes with it, which I'll get to, but just going over the modes individually, Splat Zones, really good. I like that it's the only really Splat Zones map that has like a interestingly shaped zone because it's kind of like a little plus. Tower control is okay on it, although I will say I think tower control is its worst mode. Rainmaker, it's good all around. I like how there's two different paths you can go on each side. And Clam Blitz, in solo, it's kind of bad, but for like for competitive, I actually kind of like it. And then I mean the theming is really cool too. Like you're just in a supermarket, like you can't say that about any other map. So it's one of those maps where the theme is also good, gameplay is good. Like I don't see them not bringing this one back. Like I'm probably like 85% sure they'll bring this one back. What's your opinion?
Yeah. I mean, I think the gameplay is just when you talk about like good competitive maps, I think this is at the top of the list for this game.
Hmm.
I mean, every mode is viable, and you got a lot of different weapons that you can use. I mean, backlines are really good here, sloshers are really good here, inkjet's really good. You can use bomb rush to cap the zone because of the unique design of the zone. It's just there's a lot of different ways you can play it. There's a lot of different things that are viable. I just think it's a really balanced and like optimized competitive map.
Hmm.
And then I don't know how much they're taking that into account, but I do think the fact that this map gets played consistently in top level tournaments, I think they're going to pick up on that.
Yeah.
And like you said, the design is pretty unique as well. I mean, you've there's nothing really like it,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure how they're going to go about redesigning it for the next game, like how they're going to handle like a supermarket in an apocalyptic world or whatever. But
Yeah, there's gonna be like nothing in the aisles anymore. There's,
yeah,
the call outs aren't gonna be different because there's not gonna be anything there.
it's going to look like the toilet paper aisle in last March.
Yeah. But yeah,
But
so
yeah, I think this has got a good chance of coming back.
yeah, same. Like again, like 85% sure it's coming back. All right, moving on to a map that is not as good as Macomart. We have Shellendorf Institute, but I do have something to say about Shellendorf. I think you know how like there's always that one map that like they bring back that like people didn't like in the first game, but like they bring it back anyways just because they can. Well, actually,
Moray.
yeah, Moray, and then actually I was gonna say there's two examples of that because there's also Arowana Mall. That though I don't. Did people hate Arowana Mall in Splatoon 1? Because I don't remember people hating it in Spot 1. I remember people hating it in Spot 2, but
Um, I don't remember if I'm being
yeah,
honest. I
I
think
don't remember. That map was so
the meta
relevant.
the meta has changed so much that it's hard for me to really remember if it's broken because I just don't have that much experience playing on it in
Hmm.
that meta. So
Yeah. But anyways, back to my point though, like just them bringing back a map that they know people hate. I feel like Shellendorf is that map that they're going to bring back for Splatoon 3. That like they know people don't like this map, but they're still going to bring it back just because they can. So my personal thoughts on Shellendorf, it's not It's actually not a bad map in my opinion. Like, yes, the roof is dumb and annoying, but like Splat Zones is honestly really not that bad on this map. Tower Control is also not bad, and both of those modes are like played in tournaments sometimes. Rainmaker, personally, I actually like Rainmaker on Shellendorf, but I totally understand why it's considered a bad mode. And Clam Blitz is complete garbage. I get that one too. Um, Shellendorf was extremely bad to play, but then they redesigned it a little, and they made it a little better, but it still definitely could be better. So yeah, I don't know, but I definitely think Shellendorf is coming back. How about you?
I think there's a decent chance of that. I mean, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with this map just because two of the modes are great. I mean, I don't know. I enjoy playing on zones and TC
Yeah, it's not
just
bad.
because the way they design the glass on those modes, it's a lot more balanced and it feels pretty fun to play. Um, but then you have Rainmaker, which I mean, as a Slayer, I don't hate playing on it as far as like a fun standpoint, but it's an objectively bad map. And then Shellendorf Clamblitz might be one of the most degenerate things I've ever played in any video game.
Yeah.
It's atrocious. And if they don't change this map in the next game, then it's going to continue to be that way. They already renovated the roof. Well, they didn't renovate the roof.
They
They
made
moved the
it
goal
lower
back. They made it lower and they made the goal. They pushed the goal a little bit further back so you
for
couldn't
Clan
throw
Blitz, right?
clams.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you couldn't push like so you couldn't get balls in from the roof, but it didn't really fix the problem because it's just you can just get your hydras and your brushes or whatever up there, and it's like my problem with it is it's like you're playing two different games. You're on top and you're on the bottom, and that wouldn't be an issue if it weren't for the fact that there's just not that many ways you can get up there. So if the enemy team's already set up on there, then it's too late already. You already have to be set up there, and I don't know. I just don't think that's good from a balance perspective. There's
Mhm.
just not that many ways to access it.
Yeah. So Schellendorf, not a very good map, but I do think it's coming back. But we could say that same thing for this next map, Latios, which is Goby Arena. This is another map that kind of fits the same philosophy I just gave for Schellendorf, like a map that people don't like, but they'll bring it back just because they can. Um, so aesthetically, Goby Arena is pretty cool because like you're literally playing in a basketball court with like stands and stuff. Like that's awesome, but unfortunately, that's about the only cool thing I could say about this map because gameplay wise, it is kind of horrible. I mean, Slot Zones is the only mode that I don't mind on it, but even then, like, there's so many better zones maps. Tower Control is, ugh. Rainmaker is also, ugh. And then Clam Blitz is probably the second best mode on it, but the grates that block the goal make it kind of dumb. But yeah, man, ugh. The main problem with tower control is the same problem that map we're gonna talk about later, Scare Pavilion also has, where the tower moves up to a second level and you have basically no way of getting there. So you already have to be up there or you have to go up on the tower, and it just creates like really not fun situations. And like sometimes you'll almost take the lead, but then you fall off, then you can't get it because then you have no way getting up there. It just like gives you a headache. So yeah, Gobi Arena. I think they could bring it back, but I think Schellendorf is a little more likely for to take the place of like the map that people hate and they still bring back. But then again, they brought back Moray and Arowana into Splatoon 2, so maybe they'll bring back Schellendorf and Gobi for Splatoon 3. Who knows?
Yeah, so this one, I really wish that I enjoyed playing on this map because aesthetically it's one of my favorite maps.
Mhm.
And yeah, like you said before, Zones is like the only mode on it that's relatively bearable. But
Yeah,
even then, there's just so many better Zones maps you could play on, you know? And
yeah.
you talk about the other modes being terrible. Like, I don't know that there's another map in the game that has three modes that are as bad as Gobi's three worst modes.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, tower control, you can just the way that it goes above the stands makes it really easy to defend around the after the first checkpoint. It's just not good game design in my opinion. You can literally just camp the stands, and then once the enemy jumps off, it's game over.
Mhm.
Rainmaker, both paths are terrible. They're both unequal paths that take forever to cross and
Mhm.
give the defenders way too much of an advantage.
Yeah, like
And
knockouts never happen on Gobi Arena Rainmaker.
Unless you're just stomping the other team, they just
Yeah,
don't happen. I don't think I've ever played a scrim where I got KO'd on that map. Like it just doesn't happen.
yeah,
If you're playing a team that's around your level, it's you're not going to KO anybody. And then as far as Clam Blitz, the greats, it just makes it a real pain to play. Baller, which isn't as big of a strategy in Clam Blitz now, but it used to be, is completely irrelevant on that map because of the greats. Throwing in clams is a pain because if you accidentally throw it before you cross the grate, then you get cucked by the grate and your ball just doesn't go in.
hmm
So in general, yeah, I want this to come back under the condition that they make some changes to the design because I really do like playing on this map aesthetically,
yeah,
but
yeah. Same.
they're gonna need to make some changes or else it's not gonna be enjoyable for
Yeah,
me.
they should like incorporate the basketball hoops in some way, like make it so
Yeah, I
you
think
get. I don't know how they would do that, but that would be cool if
well
they did.
that'd be cool. I mean, what would be even cooler is if they redesigned I mean, I guess I don't know how that would work, but if even cooler if they could find a way to make the clamblets goals like the baskets.
Yeah, true. Huh? Yeah. Like, yeah, that would look weird in terms of like being a realistic setting. Because what basketball court has like adjacent hoops like that? I don't know,
Yeah,
but
I don't
um,
think it would work just because you can't have a wide open map that would just favor Chargers or whatever too much. But I don't know. There's a lot of cool stuff they could do with the hoops that they're just not really doing, in my opinion. Because right
yeah.
now the hoop is just like an accessory at this point.
Yep. All right, three maps remain. First up is Wahoo World. So this map is bittersweet to me. It's definitely one of the biggest maps in the game, and I like it for that reason. However, let's see the moving parts of this map. What do you even call that? The plats. The
Yeah.
plats that move in and out that are based on a timer. They go in and out every 30 seconds. Those are annoying, and because of that reason, spot zones is the only like good mode on this map because the plats are locked in place, so they don't move in and out. But in every other mode, I believe they do move in and out on a 30-second interval, which is really annoying. What do you think?
Yeah, so there was a quote from I think it was Sendu. He basically said like when it's not closed, Wahoo World is basically just it's basically just drunk Arowana Mall. Like
Yes.
it's just you're just shooting across mid, and there's two top areas on the sides, but you can't really, it's just not a good design with
Oh,
how it kind of narrows the map down. You can't really engage anything unless you're on your own glass and then work towards mid, and it just limits your options a lot, especially when you're trying to push on TC
mhm.
because going plat is such an important spot on defense, and if you can't access it because the game has decided that you can't access it based on the timer, it can really screw over your push. And I just don't think a map where the game can decide how effective your push is going to be, then I just don't think that's good game design.
I
And
agree.
if they made it so that the modes were like they all had the plat closed, I think it'd be a really good map on all four modes. But because they got some really unique flank routes, I like the way mid is set up. It makes for a unique, especially in zones. It's just really unique with the way the zone's shaped and how you can fight in it. But yeah, they're gonna have to. I'd really like to see this map come back if they do fix the plat. As far as how likely it is to come back, I don't know. I feel like aesthetically wise, I don't know. Because on one hand, I feel like this is kind of an iconic map, but I don't know if they feel the same way. I just think the design of this map really suits this game in particular, but at the same time, you don't really hear people talking about it too much. I don't think it's really a well regarded map, so I think it's kind of a toss up.
Yeah, I mean, when you just think of like if you just think of Splatoon 2 maps, like just in general, like your stereotype of that, Wahoo World is not the first one that comes up, right?
Right.
Like Wahoo is definitely not as special as of a map as certain other maps, but I still think this one might have a chance of coming back, but definitely not as much as like Mako or Inkblot or one of those. Um, but
Yeah.
I was thinking, if it does come back, a way that they could improve it if they absolutely need to have the moving plats. One thing they could do is instead of putting it on a timer, have a little system where like you and a teammate, or not even you and a teammate, but just someone, They could do something similar to like Anchovy, where you have to shoot like a little lever or something, and then that opens up the plat. So kind of like the fans that move up and down on Anchovy. They could have something like that. So it just makes it a little more intuitive rather than just luck or time based, whatever you want to call it. I think that would make it a little better, but ideally the plats just don't move at all. But if they absolutely need to have them move, I think that would be a better solution.
Well, they already got moving parts on the map anyway, so if it's the moving part thing they're worried about, they already got the moving carousel, and I don't think
That's
that's a
true.
problem at all,
Yeah,
personally.
yeah,
But
yeah. The moving carousel isn't bad just because it spins very slowly. That's why
yeah,
it's
so
not atrocious.
they could still have that moving part thing going on, but I think if they were to incorporate something like that where you have control over when it goes up, I think it'd be really cool just because, like say TC for example, if you're trying to retake and get back into mid to start a push, then the defending team can choose when they want to engage into mid, like when they're ready to. And I think that would be pretty cool for strategy and stuff.
Hmm. Yeah.
Or you could, if you have a ranged weapon, you could shoot the other team's lever and then run in a position to fight you. So I don't know. I just feel like there's some interesting things that you could do with that. But again, I still think I'd rather see a map where the plats close all the time. But I mean, it's Nintendo. They're gonna change things up a little bit.
True. Yeah. Nintendo does always try to be creative, but sometimes it is for the worse. Sometimes it is for the better. So we will see what happens. All right, two maps remain. First up, New Albacore Hotel, which is the successor to Mahi Mahi Resort. Latios, how do you feel about New Albacore Hotel?
Well, I mean, aesthetically, it's one of my favorite maps in the game. Probably my favorite as
Really?
far as how it
Interesting.
looks. Just because of the buildings, I don't know, I just think that's really modern and cool. And gameplay wise, it's got two good modes, zones and clams, which I have a lot of experience playing on. This map has a reputation for being very backline heavy, which I think is kind of wrong. I mean,
Hey, I mean, if you just look
because
at how you play on it, I don't think it's very backline heavy.
yeah, I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've literally just flanked behind the backline and gotten free triples or whatever just because they're not looking at it. Like I did that in a scrim today. I literally just flanked behind them, got 3 kills, and so I disagree with the fact that it's or the opinion that it's completely backline oriented.
Hmm.
Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but I personally enjoy playing on it even as a Slayer. So that being said, TC and Rainmaker are not very good. TC is Albacore TC is one of the worst TC
It's because
maps in the
it's
game.
because it's another map where it's like over water.
And it's not just because it's over water, but it's also the route is just it makes no sense. It's like a zigzag. You go to the left, then you go back to the right, then you go back to the left again. It just
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense from a defensive standpoint. So, I mean, I'd love to see this map come back personally, even if TC and Rainmaker are still garbage. I really enjoy playing on zones and clams, and I really like the look of it. So, I really like to see it come back. I don't know how likely it is, but this is one of the maps that I'd most like to see come back.
Okay, okay. Interesting, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I like Albacore too. Spot zones, it's probably actually one of my favorite zones maps. Just because, just the way it's laid out. The zone is big, but not too big. I like how, like, there's all those different angles you can come at it from. And, like, there's the uninkable bridges. Like, yeah, I
Yep.
really dig that. Tower control, it sucks. Rainmaker. I actually like Rainmaker on Albacore, but I know that is I'm in the minority with that one. And Clam Blitz, I used to hate. But when you're playing it in like a competitive setting, I've grown to like it just because playing with you guys has definitely made me improve on it and improve my awareness. So I like it now. And yeah,
Good.
yeah. So I would not mind Albacore coming back. Anything else I want to say about Albacore? Oh wait, no, I have something. I know. Yeah, I have a question for you. So, do you think if they were to bring back either Mahi Mahi Resort or New Albacore Hotel, which one do you think they would bring back?
That's a hard question, just because I don't know how they feel about Mahi Mahi because it's been so long since
Exactly.
I've
Yeah.
played Splat 1. But I want them to bring back Albacore, but I think based on just, I think more people would want Mahi Mahi to come back. So I think
Yeah.
I
Like.
I like
Yeah.
Albacore more, but I think if they have to pick, it's gonna be Mahi Mahi, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, I'm literally fine with either. But if I did have to pick one, I would say Mahi Mahi, just because it's been longer since we've seen that one. If that makes sense, because like we're still playing
Yeah.
Albacore right now, but I don't know. You never know. They could bring both, though that's unlikely because they're kind of like the same exact thing. So I doubt they'd have both. But yeah, either or, I'm fine with. All right,
Yeah.
Latios, and now we move into the very final map, which happens to be my favorite map in Splatoon 2, which is Skipper Pavilion.
Believe that.
Yeah, it actually is. But I completely understand certain criticisms that people have with this map, which I'll get into right now. So let's go through each mode. Splat zones. I think splat zones is actually pretty fun on it. I like the strategy where you have to like split up with your team. Like you can go from the top or the bottom, and the zone is shaped in a cool way, in my opinion. Though the slope of the zone definitely can be annoying. Tower control. I mentioned this when we were talking about Goby, but it has a really bad issue where once it reaches a certain point and it elevates, you can't get to the tower again unless like you super jump your teammate but you have to go like on an uninkable path to get there otherwise, which is awful, and your death is inevitable if you do that. So yeah, tower control is pretty bad. Rainmaker is also like a mode that a lot of people really don't like. However, I actually do like it. Just for the path variety, because like you could take it on the far side and go through bottom, or you could take it through mid on that uninkable area, which gets its like 45 immediately. And also, even after that, there's another split path up ahead where like you could swim up that wall and make it to the pedestal straight from there, or you could go around the long way on the little L bend there. So, yeah, I really like just the variety for Rainmaker on that map. But again, I completely understand people who do not like it. And Clan Blitz, that mode is dirt.
Yeah.
Absolutely trash. And we tried making that map work because it was in the map list for Swim or Sink, which is a tournament that we play in. And then we tried playing it for like a month to get better at it. And oh boy, we wasted a month of our lives, bro.
This time I'll never get back. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And by the way, fun fact, they took that map out of the map list because no one liked it. So we literally did waste a month of our lives.
All right. Well, so as far as splat zones goes, like you said, the slope is a little bit strange, but I mean, personally, I don't have a problem with that just because you can come out. It's pretty easy to rotate up top when you respawn, so I think it's fun to play as far as like it's kind of similar to Triggerfish and how you have to position, like you got to split up, but it's less restrictive, like you still can rotate between sides.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think it's a decent zones map. It's not the best, but I enjoy playing on it. Other modes, TC, I don't hate it, but the game breaker for me is like you said, the fact that it's really hard to get up. Like once you get past that checkpoint on the plat, once you have to get to that second level, it's just unless you're on the tower or you want to walk around uninkable, then you're not getting up there. And if you try to go on uninkable, then if the other team is smart, you're just gonna get pre-fired by ranged weapons. It's pretty hard to get up there.
Yeah.
So I if they change that, then I'd really like TC on that map, but especially because of the unique flank routes, like you can flank from like the top area, the choke area,
Mhm.
and get some angles with Inkjet and other specials. But yeah, I mean, I just I think that's deal breaker for me as far as TC. Rainmaker, I don't hate playing on it, but I think it's just an objectively bad map.
Fair,
It's
fair.
fun in League, but
Yeah,
awful
I
in
like it in
comp.
the league a lot.
And then Clam Blitz, it's wow. That's I don't know why anyone ever thought that that should have been a tournament map list, because
Yeah.
it's just there's two ways you can push the basket, but both of those routes are so far away from each other that it's just it takes way too long to set up pushes on that map. And most of the times we'd scrim, the score would end up like 80 to 60 or something like that. Because once you get there, it's just the other team gets so much time to set up because there's just not that many options, and both of the options take a while to get there, so that it's not fun to play on. You can't
Yeah,
set
like
up
no
good
one ends
pitches
up
most of the
scoring.
time. Yeah, because you can just camp up top, and then yeah, they can flank bottom, but the flank takes forever. So even if you get like two down and it's 4v2, well, you still got to push from both sides to make an effective push, and it's going to take you a long time to set that up. So a lot of pushes are going to be just one or two power clams, and then you're wiped, and then the other team is going to have a chance to do the same. So
Yeah.
just not a fun clamblitz map. It doesn't really work with the way that clamblitz is designed. So yeah, I think it's good on it's okay on zones, but other three modes are really iffy. I do think they could make it a lot more fun with some small adjustments
Hmm.
on TC at least, but overall, it's a map that I don't particularly enjoy playing on. I mean, aesthetically, it's okay. I mean, I don't particularly love it. I do like the shrine area, which is kind of similar to Piranha Pit Useless, where it
Yeah.
gives you the option to, can see a little bit of pressure to build up your special. So I like that aspect of it, but aesthetically, it's okay. Gameplay wise, it's okay on a couple modes, but I this is not a map I would be torn up about if it wasn't in the next game.
Mm. Yeah, because I was just gonna say actually, like even though I do like three of the modes on this map. I mean, tower control is questionable, but I would say I like it more than I don't like it. The main reason that this is my favorite map in the game is because of the aesthetic. I just really dig the whole Asian theme that it's going for, and I think it's just a unique map in terms of its symmetry. It's unlike any other map. Um, well, which could also be considered a bad thing, but I like it just in terms of its uniqueness. So yeah, I mean, I think this map definitely has a decent shot of coming back, just because it has the whole like Asian theme that no other map has done before. Which, again, I think they're gonna try and look at certain like aesthetic. What's the word? Like they're gonna use the
Certain
aesthetics for certain.
style.
Yeah, like the style. They're looking at the style for certain maps. Sorry, I just totally had a brain fart there. I couldn't talk, but yeah. So I think that Skipper. It's not as likely as other maps, but I could definitely see Skipper coming back. But I do think if it does come back, it will be reworked. Not entirely reworked, but like it'll be changed a little bit. I think they'll fix some of the problems that it has with like the whole. There's like the issue with like the both snipes. Like the block on one side is positioned differently than the block on the other side or something. I don't know exactly,
And then the
but
peaking advantage.
yeah, the
So
peaking advantage.
it's kind of similar to Saltspray. I I see it
Yeah,
as similar in a similar mode to Saltspray. I mean,
I can
I
see
think
that.
it's got a better chance of coming back than Saltspray just because it does the whole symmetry thing, like the lack of symmetry thing better.
Yep.
But I just it has the same issue. You get a peak advantage, and it's I don't know how much it actually impacts competitive play, but that's a big turnoff for people, and I don't think that I mean just because it has that advantage it doesn't mean it's an unredeemable map. I mean, I do think there's some things they could do to make it better, but I don't know. I'm still not high on it, and I don't think it's got a great chance of coming back, but I
Yeah,
don't
we'll
know.
see. We'll
I don't
see.
hate it.
Yeah, yeah. I'd be happy if it came back. I know you don't really care though, but yeah. So, anyways, guys, it has been an hour and 30 minutes long discussion, but hey, we got through it. That was all the maps in Splatoon history. Latios, thank you for sitting down and discussing these with me. Appreciate it. So guys, if you didn't know, Latios is also a YouTuber and Twitch streamer. So Latios, you can go ahead and plug those.
All right,
Free
so yeah.
advertising.
All right, so my Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube are all the same. It's just Epic Sonic Latios on all three of them. I usually I pretty much stream every night, just team practices, pickup scrims, whatever. It's mostly competitive content, so if you're into that kind of thing,
That's not an
um,
exaggeration, by the way. He literally does stream every night. Oh no.
yeah, I almost every single night, yeah.
Yep.
So if you want a place to just come watch some decent gameplay, like I'm not gonna claim that I'm a god at the game or anything, but you know,
You
if
are
you want to
though.
watch what, all right, well, okay, that's debatable.
Go watch
But
him,
if you want
guys.
to, if you want to watch some mid to high level scrims, then I'm the place to go. And then you've got my YouTube, which has a lot of scrim highlights videos, which are just basically some highlights from the best games from scrims, which usually are going to come straight from my streams, but I like to upload them to YouTube, the particularly good games for me or my team, just so that people who missed the stream can still tune in and watch some of that stuff. And I also make some other content as well. I made a video we talked about before, Albacore. I made a video on that because you know, some players have struggled playing on that map, so I figured make a video on that just to show my approach to the game and working on a few other things that are not gameplay related. So I'm trying to get some more variety in there, but if you enjoy just watching some comp gameplay, some scrims and stuff, then and you want to try to learn from someone who has a decent amount of experience with the game, then I think it's worth checking out personally. I mean,
Yep.
I'm biased, but
So yeah, guys, definitely go check out Latios. And with that, we thank you for watching. If you actually sat through all 1 hour 30 minutes of this, first of all, you're crazy. Second of all, thank you. We appreciate it. And guys, let us know in the comments, like, what maps do you want to see come back, or what maps do you not want to see come back? I'd be curious to know, and I'll try and read all of them and respond to most of them. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Thank you again, Latios, and we will see you guys later. Bye bye.